what you're talking about is everything that at the federal level can impact you at the local level. And so you need to become much more resilient or my opinion, tough against disasters. And so how do you do that? And so let's talk about a couple of use cases based off of some of the questions, again, that we got offline.
Sure.
And so like some of the questions were really focused on that local emergency manager. You're just starting out in the field and you got hit by COVID, or, what my first disaster with FEMA was Hurricane Matthew. And I was put as the GIUL there. And I was like, okay, here we go. And so what do you do when you get that 700 million order of cookies as a new owner? And let's kind of start with that. Well, so like step 1, 2, 3, what do you think you should be doing as an emergency manager right now?
As an emergency manager right now, let's see. Well, there's a couple things. One, let's back up. If you're a new emergency manager getting into the field, you need to learn how to write operationally, because there are not enough planners right now that can plan on the fly for doing points of dissemination to whatever is needed. 2, you need to learn project management skills. So these universities that are in disaster emergency management, curriculum, I need project management professionals, as much as I need, people that understand all elements of emergency management, for example. 2, knowing what I know now, if it had landed on my plate, I would have called in the big boys. I would have called in the Medlines of the world, the Cardinals, the big medical distributors, and I would have called in the big, Modernas and those to come in to say, you got to tell me how to, operate these privately owned community, these privately owned supply chains. You don't get a flu shot by the government every year. You get a flu shot largely because of the private sector. So how do we duplicate that except exponentially bigger? And then the other thing, John, is that, going back to the whole, you got to get 700 million cookies, out for your first order, is how you set the expectation of citizens, right? So here again, the information's all over the place. Social media is less than accurate. And we can come back to that. And a lot of it, a third of it's influenced by foreign actors, okay, that make us look stupid, there are too many cooks in the kitchen when it comes to who's in charge and what is the ultimate, what kind of mask do I need, and like the guidance that's coming out. And in the hurricane world, I will tell you, as John Q. Citizen, if we were going to issue an evacuation, you need to listen to the local emergency management director who is putting out the warning order guidance. Well, that's not the case here. It's very top down. It's coming from a White House czar or the CDC or HHS and not the local public health official who was not prepared to handle this pandemic. I mean, because they've got a big day job as it is. Pandemic planning is not one of their, things that they sat around and talked about on Monday morning staff meetings, right? So we've got to go back and reconfigure, but you got to set the expectations of citizens of saying, here's what we're trying to do, and it's going to be a while. In the meantime, do these 3 things, not 15 things, not 20 things, but do these 3 things.
Prioritize. No such thing as plan B. I think what served me best in FEMA specifically was that I had learned the skill to prioritize. Things get let go. Things fall to the side. You can't do everything, and I think that is why I was able to, talking from a career perspective, be able to propel myself to the point where I felt like if I said something, it meant something. And I think that would be the other point of advice to emergency managers out there is learn to prioritize as fast as possible. You talk about project management. Is going to be a little bit of a plug here, but we endorse Futurity IT because I was looking at some of their products, and they have a product called Athena. Again, plug here. So take it as you will, but they designed an app that's like really intuitive, and it's specifically project management for emergency managers. And so the whole thing's customizable, and it's task tracking, and if you look at most of project management, it's designed by tech companies who like do agile or do these other type of water flow methodologies where it's all about fail fast and it's all about dollars. But for emergency managers on the blue sky stuff, like your day to day, you need to be able to learn what's happening, what's most important. So when you're in a disaster, you're able to say, here's 1, 2, 3, I have to get these done, or I fail.